Drop everything now. Today, we'll be talking about one of my favorite albums of all time. Speak Now! That's how I've written it in my notes.
Wow!
By Dr. Taylor Allison Swift. Happy Speak Now Taylor's version. Release day. It is today.
We're filming this on July 7th.
Today we'll be going into Speak Now track by track. That is the original 14 tracks on the standard edition because it took too long. And delving into what they're about, who they're about, all the drama, all the heartbreak, everything. But before we get into that, a little background on the Speak Now album. And before we get into that, here's a picture. Here's a picture of me presenting Speak Now Taylor's version.
She loves it.
To you all. I wanted to give it a little nod in this presentation because the rest of it's very retrospective.
The nostalgia I love.
Speak Now was released in 2010. Taylor Swift is 20 years old. Makes me feel old.
If anything, that should make you think she's old. Not that she is.
She is old, I think.
Oh.
It's actually the only Taylor Swift album that was completely self-written with no collaborators or co-writers, and she did this for a couple of reasons. One was because this is often how things worked out practically. She wrote a lot of the songs for Speak Now while she was on the Fearless tour, where there were no co-writers, and she would write them at 3 a.m. when inspiration struck, and I don't know, everyone was asleep, I guess. Speak Now was also completely self-written to prove a point. She's quoted as saying, "When I was 18, they were like, she doesn't really write those songs, so my third album, I wrote by myself," as a reaction to that. And another fun fact is that Taylor originally wanted the album to be called Enchanted. The record label didn't like this so much, though, and Scott Borchetta, it sounds like a cured meat.
Yeah.
The president of Big Machine Records said that Enchanted didn't really fit the vibe because her music isn't about fairy tales in high school anymore. Anyway, Taylor left the conversation, came back and decided on Speak Now for the album title. And she walked back in that room and she said, "I want to make history." Of the relationships that Taylor Swift may or may not sing about in Speak Now, there are 4 that are confirmed. Do you know which ones they are?
Taylor Lautner, John Mayer. That's all I got for you.
One you're gonna know. One might surprise you.
I love that. Oh, I did know Joe Jonas. Lucas Till, I didn't know they dated. Briefly in 2009.
Here's a little timeline to help you with the timings of it all. That's what I wrote in my notes.
I love it.
We start with Joe Jonas, who Taylor dated between July and October 2008. This was a while back by the time Speak Now rolled around, and there's even a song about Joe on her previous album.
Is that one where she... No. It's a more recent one where she talks about sending his babies gifts, right?
That's folklore.
Yeah.
And then, I did not know this, and you didn't either by the sound of it. She very briefly dated Lucas Till. I don't think she's said anything about it, but he came out and said that they dated for a little bit. Maybe they built a colourful shed together.
Sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. Then Taylor Lautner, that's a biggie, even though it was only a few months. August to December 2009. And then John Mayer. Boo!
Boo!
Also,
let's go back to December. Sorry.
One last thing before we jump into the tracks to note about Speak Now is the hidden messages in the album booklet, which was always very exciting. If you didn't know, she wrote all the lyrics out in the album booklet and they'd all be lowercase, apart from a few letters that she'd put as uppercase, and it'd spell out a phrase or
I didn't
a word.
know that.
I did, because I was like reading the booklet in the car and I'd be like, this is making a word. I didn't know what they meant because I didn't Google anything, so I'd just be like, wonder what that means. And now I'm going to tell you.
Were they big words?
There was some words, there was some phrases. But what we'll do is we'll jump into each song. I'll reveal the hidden message and then go into what the song means and who it's about. First, we have Mine. Mine documents a young love, the good times, bad times, but overall it's a happy song about a girl who had a pessimistic view of love because of a failed parents' relationship, but she falls in love with somebody who shows her that love actually is all around. Quote from my favorite film there.
The classic holiday banger.
Funnily enough, I have put the song Mine does actually read like one of the contemporary romances I'd read to get me out of a reading slump.
Oh my god, that's so true.
There's even like a third act complication in the bridge where they have a fight and there's like a miscommunication. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Anyway, the hidden message in Mine is Toby. And I know what you're thinking.
Who? Yeah.
Who is that? What I can tell you is that Toby Hemingway starred in the Mine music video. And you might not be thinking, well, it's all about him. But you'd probably be wrong because it's unlikely that the two ever dated.
No confirmations.
So who is Mine written about? Well, there's a chance it could be written about no one. About the song, Taylor said, lately I've had this bad habit of running away from love, kind of getting to the place where it's about to commit and then you just like run in the opposite direction. Mine is about the idea that I could find someone who would be the exception to that, someone who would be so sturdy and so much of a sure thing that I wouldn't run from it. Sometimes I look back on a lot of examples that I've seen of love long term and it doesn't work out. There are goodbyes and people get really hurt, so I tend to be a little runawayish, but I'm never past hoping that at some point that could change. However, Mine might not be about anyone in particular, but it was at least inspired by someone. Because she also said that she was reflecting back on a boy that I liked at a certain time, and the song is about what it would be like if I actually let my guard down. So even though the relationship in the song might not have ever been real or transpired in the way that the song says it did, she was still thinking about someone when she wrote it. And I guess, as she never said, we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know.
But wait! Do you hear that? I think it might be the toxic gossip train heading down the tracks to spread some misinformation because we've got some rumors as to who might have inspired the song. 3 contenders. The first we've already covered. Toby Hemingway. And we don't think it's him. Like, it vaguely could be. Maybe she, liked him. But then, when did she meet him? Like, for the music video, she'd already sang the song.
Yeah.
It's not adding up to me. So we can just disregard that one. The second is, as aforementioned, Lucas Till, star of Hannah Montana, the movie. The third, and this one shocked me to my core. I honestly don't know if you're ready for it. This is the third contender of who Mine might be about.
What?
I'm not kidding. Corey Monteith Finn Hudson himself. And we're going to have a little deep dive into those last two.
I would say that the guy she cast in the music video looks more like
Lucas Till. The Lucas Till theory is a decent one. As I said before, he has admitted that they dated. He said, we dated for a little bit, but there was no friction because we were too nice. That's what I thought. We just both really liked each other. So we broke up. But most relationships work out because you get along and then you don't. And then you make up and it's passionate. And with her, I really just liked her as a friend. Lucas Till friend zoning Taylor Swift there.
After the fact, though.
On real seas. Lucas Till famously, I would say, starred in the You Belong With Me music video.
Absolutely.
Could there be a potentially tenuous link between Taylor putting Toby down as the hidden message, being a little nod to Lucas, as Lucas starred as her love interest in another music video?
Oh.
Not sure, but she does like a very tenuous link, so I wouldn't put it past her. The next theory is Corey Monteith, who Taylor was rumored to be dating at some point in 2010. Emphasis on rumor because neither of them ever confirmed it. I think they were seen a couple times, never explicitly romantically, and they denied it, or at least Corey denied it. I don't even know if she said anything. So they may just have been friends. If they did date, it would have been post-Mayer and pre-Gyllenhaal, the two final bosses of the Taylor Swift world. And there's an interesting point that Corey's mum, and I've put mother here on the PowerPoint because the Americans say mom and we say mum, and I just didn't know where I stood with that. She posted a story on Instagram, I think, of the two of them together. Here they are. And with the song Mine playing over it. And this was after there had already been a few rumors that maybe it was about him.
His mum loves the gossip.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I like both theories. I like this theory for a fact because Mine truly is a song about just a small town girl living in a lonely world.
You are so right.
And in the end, we don't have a clue for sure who Mine was inspired by, but if you're out there watching this and you really, really want the Corey theory to be true, don't stop believing.
I loved it.
Sparks Fly. A personal favorite, a banger. Sparks Fly is about fancying someone, basically. It's a classic. The hidden message is Portland, Oregon.
That's a longer one.
Mm-hmm. Taylor says Sparks Fly is about falling for someone who maybe you shouldn't fall for. But you can't stop yourself because there's such a connection and chemistry.
I'm triggered.
But what we want to know is what happened in Portland, Oregon. Well, let me read you a blog entry written by Queen Taylor herself. Settle down. Happy Halloween!
She doesn't have a head. Yes.
I'm sitting at the airport in Portland, Oregon, about to get on a red-eye flight. Oh yes, I just said red-eye, meaning all night. This should be interesting. I love that because she's just going to be like, what, asleep for the whole flight?
Is that a lyric?
This is a blog post.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. I know you're right.
Isn't the extended Sparks Fly lyrics. To Toronto, Canada for another weekend of Rascal Flatts shows. And this is me talking. I'm going to take the spider off.
Got your little hairs. Yeah, there you go.
Tonight was awesome. It was a show in Portland at a bar called Jukes. I opened up for Jake Owen. And a little backstory, I've had his album on repeat for the past couple of months. It's an amazing album and I literally cannot stop listening to it. I've got every line memorized, and if you see me on a plane, be quiet. Chances are I'm listening to some song off that album at a volume level that's probably going to cause long-term hearing damage someday. Anyway, I got to walk in on his sound check and meet him. Turns out he's extremely cool and had bought my album on iTunes. And since I had to leave after one song of his set, he played my favorite song, 8 Second Ride, first, which is another reason why he's awesome. And just to let everyone know, yes, I did dress up for Halloween. So that's Taylor's blog post about when she was in Portland, Oregon. And I don't know about you, but it sounds like Sparks Fly was written about Jake Owen. That's this guy here who looks like if Robbie Ray from Hannah Montana was a sim.
you know the age difference here?
That's my next
Fantastic,
point.
sorry.
Jake Owen is like 8 years older than Taylor, which is probably why, assuming the song is about him, she says it's about falling for someone who she probably shouldn't have fallen for. He doesn't look real in that photo.
It looks like he's been... His face has been photoshopped onto some other guy's
like,
body.
Like a bad, like, Madame Tussauds.
Yes! Oh my god, yeah, she's posing with him.
Now, unlike the other songs on Speak Now, Sparks Fly was actually written when Taylor was 16 years old, before she released her self-titled debut album in 2006. The Portland, Oregon show with Jake happened in 2006, by the way. Questions?
That means she was 16, he was 22.
Yeah, I don't think anything happened. I think she
Okay.
just fancied him and she wrote the song about
Okay,
it.
that's fine. Okay, sorry. I
mean, I
like
can't
it.
say for sure, but I haven't heard anything to that degree.
Untoward.
Sparks Fly was included in Speak Now because she'd performed it live before and fans loved it. But the original lyrics were actually a little bit different. One of the original lyrics included the line, "I fall in love in an empty bar," which could potentially be referencing the Jukes bar where she played with Jake. And before we move on, and I've no idea what the emojis mean, but when Taylor announced Speak Now, Taylor's version on stage at the Eras tour, and sang she sang Sparks Fly, not Speak Now. I've written it wrong. Jake Owen quote retweeted with just 5 emojis of surfing.
I need to close this up.
I don't know what it means, but he acknowledged it, so that's...
Surfer boy.
Maybe he is.
He has the hair for it.
He was a surfer boy, she said.
I love you, boy.
Back to December. Track 3 was slowing things down a little bit. Back to December is about looking back on a relationship with regret about how you handle things. It's nice to know that Taylor's had at least one breakup where the guy didn't treat her like shit.
I love that.
And the hidden message for Back to December is Tay. And this one's quite easy to decipher. I think we all know that the Tay here is Taylor Lautner. Yes, that's right, Jacob Black. Here he is with his wolfish grin.
Shark boy.
Ready to come and steal your girl.
He likes Taylor's, hey.
He married a Taylor, didn't he?
I know. He's literally Taylor squared again.
Taylor and Taylor's ship name, yeah, back when they were a thing, was Taylor Squared, which I thought was inspired at the time. And still do, honestly. Now, with Back to December, Taylor said, "I've never apologized to someone in a song before. This is about a person who was incredible to me. Just perfect in a relationship, and I was really careless with him. So this is a song full of words that I would say to him that he deserves to hear." Now, Taylor Squared was short-lived, so I've put a little timeline together that I'm going to fly through. Sparks fly through. They meet July 2009 on the set of Valentine's Day.
Classic.
August, the two allegedly start dating. He presents her with the VMA in September. We know how that ended, not very well. They're seen together a few times.
They went to a hockey game.
They did.
Do you know who played?
No. Sorry. They had dinner at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. That's what it's called. She talks about him on Ellen. She shouts him out in her SNL monologue. She says they've gotten really close. In December, they are papped going for Froyo. And then he talks about her on SNL. And then they break up. Crazy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe his SNL monologue wasn't funny. Maybe the Froyo was bad. But sources said he liked her more than she liked him. He went everywhere he could to see her, but she didn't travel much to see him, and they decided they were better as friends. And I never know how accurate these sources are, but that one definitely checks out with the lyrics of the song.
And he's still supporting her.
He is still
So
supporting
that's
her.
cute.
And he's praying for John.
Yeah.
In March 24th, 2010, they're pictured meeting for lunch at the farm of Beverly Hills, which I doubt is an actual farm. I do wonder if this meeting is what the first line of the song is about when she sings, "I'm so glad you made time to see me.
How's life? Tell me how your family."
Track 4 is the title track. It's a fun little song about crashing a wedding and professing your love for the groom. In the grand genre of wedding crashing songs, we have this, and we have "I'm Glad I Crashed the Wedding" by Busted. I prefer this one. Though the other one kind of slaps as well.
It's a tune.
Honestly, same song, different font.
You always regret what you don't say. Literally the same. Love that.
Taylor said, this song was inspired by one of my friends who was telling me about her childhood sweetheart crush guy. That made me laugh when I put it down because it sounded like she's saying that the guy's name is Crush Guy. She was telling me about her childhood sweetheart Crush Guy. He likes to crush things.
It's like when you used to make up names for your crushes in elementary school.
This one's Crush Guy. They were kind of together in high school and went their separate ways, and it was kind of understood that they were gonna get back together, kind of. Then one day she comes in and tells me he's getting married, and I just kind of randomly was like, "So you're gonna speak now?" And she was like, "Queen, what do you mean? I'm already speaking." And she was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Oh, storm the church, speak now, or forever hold your peace. I'll go with you, I'll play guitar, it would be great." She was just kind of laughing. Oh my god, she says that. She was kind of laughing. She also kind of thought I was insane. And later on, I was just wrapping my mind around that idea of how tragic it would be if someone you loved was marrying someone else. Well, who is this friend that Taylor was speaking to?
Do we find out?
Who was having an early life crisis about a wedding. Well, this is big. I am so honored and pleased and delighted to tell you it might just have been Queen Hayley Williams.
No.
Yes. I do love her. Just gonna have to hydrate to carry on with this one. It's a really exciting part of the presentation.
This was unexpected. I didn't.
Honestly, there are surprises in this one.
There are some cameos.
Right? Now, if the friend is in fact Hayley, the groom in question is Josh Farrow, ex-Paramore bandmate. He's not in the band anymore, and when he left, that was a drama. Google that if you want. That was a thing. Josh is the Ms. Biz guy, so when she sings "I never meant to brag, but I got him where I want him now," that's Josh. Anyways, they dated for 3 years when they were super young and then broke up, and then 3 years later he announced his engagement on February 5th 2010, and he got married in April. Both Taylor and Hayley were at the wedding, as pictured, with who I believe to be Jeremy, another ex-band member.
That's crazy that they went to the wedding, though.
I know, and they didn't speak now.
They literally spoke before.
Yeah, they just spoke to each other, it looks like. I wonder whether, Josh was like, to the preacher, he was like, "Don't do that bit where you say, speak now or forever hold your peace." Just skip that bit. Just skip that bit.
I don't want that part.
We're a bit worried about that bit.
Cut it.
But the timings line up with Taylor writing Speak Now, and the story lines up as well. Also, I'll go back to this slide. But in the album booklet artwork of Speak Now, he's like a punk rock guy. 100%. So that adds up as well.
So true.
Dear John is a song about looking back on a relationship and now that it's over, realizing how toxic it is. The hidden message from Dear John was "Loved you from the very first day." Taylor says the song Dear John is sort of like the last email you would ever send to someone that you used to be in a relationship with.
Sign of the times, am I right?
Email.
AOL. LOL, AOL.
Taylor loves John at hotmail.com. And by the way, I'm retiring this email address after this message. Usually people write this venting last email to someone and they say everything that they want to say to that person, and then they usually don't send it. I guess by putting this song on the album, I am pushing send. Dear John is, we're all very pretty sure about John Mayer. His name, after all, is in the title, although it is worth saying that Dear John as a title does have a double meaning. There's a thing called a Dear John letter, which is a letter written to a romantic partner to inform them that the relationship is over. So you could argue that that's all that it means, but I mean, it is very obvious that the song is about a man called John Mayer. When they dated, Taylor was 19 and John was 32, old enough to know better. Taylor basically obliterated him for the whole song, called him out by name, asked him, hey, don't you think 19's too young to be played by your dark, twisted games, John? Basically, Taylor ate, and then she shot him out.
I hate this.
It's so gross, isn't it? But how did John respond to Dear John? Well, he didn't like it. That's for sure. He said it humiliated him and called it cheap songwriting. Said, I'm pretty good at taking accountability now, and I never did anything to deserve that. It was a really lousy thing for her to do. John Mayer really wondered what it would be like to date a teenager at the old age of 32, and then you really did fuck around and find out. And it's like, this is what happens, John. You treat her like shit, and then she does what any other 19-year-old girl will do. And she puts you on blast in a song in front of the whole world. Don't then get all arsey about it.
It was a really lousy thing for her to do.
Like, okay, John.
Sorry you're dating someone who's a year away from being a child.
John.
John.
Dear John. The idiot.
Feck off.
Taylor was asked in 2012 about John Mayer's comments, these comments regarding the song, and said, how presumptuous. I never disclose who my songs are about. Which I find to be such a queen move, considering she put his name in the title of the song.
I love that.
John also wrote a song called Paper Doll, supposedly in response to Taylor. He said more recently that it isn't about who everyone thinks it's about. But there are quite a few lyrical parallels between his song and Taylor's songs, including Dear John, so the jury's out on that one. I think he's just gaslighting all of us.
Maybe he's gaslighting himself.
Probably. Mean.
Why you gotta be so mean?
Mean is a song about rising above hate and bullying. The hidden message is, I thought you got me. But they didn't. I always thought growing up that Mean was about like high school bullies.
Me too.
And I think that was a common misconception. I think it was like used that way in maybe like anti-bullying campaigns and stuff later on. But in fact, it was about one particular person. As Taylor says, I wrote the song Mean about a critic who really, really, really strongly disliked me. And with critics and journalists, I respect that it's their job to put out constructive criticism. I usually will take that criticism and be like, okay, maybe they're right about that. I will work on that. This critic hated me, just like assault rifle, one after the other, just like missiles. Hated me, so I felt really helpless, and I felt there's nothing I can do about this. And so I did what I always do. I went into my lonely little corner, and I wrote a song about it. This...
I wasn't expecting.
The critic in question is Bob Lefsetz, who at the time of writing his mean comments was 56 compared to Taylor being 20. Just for a little added layer of grown-ass man saying this. In a scathing review of a live performance of Taylor's, he said... Did Taylor Swift kill her career overnight? I'll argue she did. So obviously, he's got a really amazing professional opinion. How awful was she? Dreadful. And then my favorite, because it's the worst. Taylor's too young and dumb to understand the mistake she made. Anyway, in response to that, Taylor wrote Mean. And let me tell you, Bob didn't like that very much. I've included a photo here of a different Bob just because Bob Lefsetz was really...
We love this Bob.
I hated his comments so much they frustrated me, so I made this presentation and I put Bob Duncan from Good Luck Charlie on this slide instead. A king amongst men, I'd say. He'd never make comments like that, by the way. He's turned his back to them, Luke. He's shunning them. But Bob Lefsetz, not Duncan, said... But she still can't sing, and isn't it time to start acting like an adult, to cast off their high school persona and fly like a woman instead of darting around like a little girl? That's what's got everybody's eyes rolling her. Aw shucks, oh my god, look, when she strides onto the stage to ear-splitting applause. Taylor got to live out her adolescent fantasy. Can she now be a woman singing about womanly issues? And to that I say, Bob, when I think of womanly issues, I cannot think of a bigger issue facing women than men like you. I don't know what he thinks womanly issues are.
I was just gonna say, like, you want a 20-year-old to sing about womanly issues. Menopause? Like, is that your genre?
Making sandwiches? What does he want? What does he want us to say?
I love the kitchen.
Someday I'll need to go and change the bed sheets and then remember to put the washing out. Anyway, that's mean.
That's gross. I hate him.
Track 7 is another one of my all-time faves.
Love this one.
Story of Us. The story of us is about a relationship breaking down and meeting that person, and then it's just really awkward. Standing alone in a crowded room, and we're not speaking. The hidden message is CMT Music Awards. Taylor said that it's about a song she wrote. It is a song she wrote about an awkward situation where, well, let me just preface by saying that I have happened to run into exes in strange places lately. This is about one of those situations where the strange place I ran into him was an award show, the CMT Music Awards, probably. I was seated a couple of seats away from him, and there was so much that needed to be said, and neither one of us was willing to say it. We were both acting like we were engaged in conversations with people that we don't even know. It was just miserable. Well, who was the story of us about? Bad news.
Ew.
The awkward encounter that Taylor had at the CMT Music Awards was John Mayer. Of course, this was pre-Dear John, but post them breaking up, I guess. There's not much more to say on John that hasn't already been said. Can't imagine he was too pleased with this song either, but he was old enough to know better. Next song is Never Grow Up. Here's a little Taylor Swift.
It's like you and the whiteboard.
Never Grow Up is a song written to give me an existential crisis whenever I listen to it, and the hidden message is I moved out in July.
I love this song.
It's pretty, isn't it? Never Grow Up is basically about growing up. Taylor said she wrote it when she was 18 or 19. A friend had just had a baby, and she made me the godmother of it, and I was holding this little baby the other night, and I was just thinking differently. When you're holding on to something that's so innocent and so perfect and has no idea what's coming for it with the world is going to throw so many things at you as we grow up. Never Grow Up is a song about the fact that I don't quite know how I feel about growing up. It's tricky. Growing up happens without you knowing it. Growing up, God, I spoke fast. It's such a crazy concept because a lot of times when you were younger, you wish you were older. I look out into the crowd every night and see a lot of girls that are my age and going through exactly the same things as I'm going through. Every once in a while I look down and I see a little girl who is 7 or 8 and I wish I could tell her all of this. Never Grow Up isn't about the horrific breakup of a relationship, but it is about the breakup we all go through when we leave our childhood and enter the big wide world. And those are my words.
That's how you've been feeling lately.
Whew. Listened to Taylor's version today and I was like, oh my god. In my opinion, one of the most hard-hitting songs on the album. Now that I've grown up. When I was younger and I was listening to Speak Now, I was like, Never Grow Up is nice, but it's not like, and now I'm like,
now it's just too much.
No, it's too much. This is... I thought I'd throw in a little, this is me.
This is real, this is you.
This is real, this is me, this is exactly who I used to be.
I loved that.
When I wanted to grow up back then.
Oh my God. She wanted to be a doctor.
I loved that outfit. I used to have like one of those little plastic hammers and I used to go around like hitting people.
I had the same. I'd go to their knees. It's
You're
broken.
Next one's a classic. Enchanted. And oh boy, is this backstory a good one. Do you know it?
I don't think I do, actually.
Oh, the song, but also the context behind it is incredible. True classic. Enchanted is about meeting someone and being enchanted to meet them and falling for them and praying that they don't have someone else. And the secret message is Adam.
I don't know any Adams.
I'll give you a clue. It's not Levine. Taylor wrote Enchanted about a guy who she was enchanted to meet, obviously. He was somebody that I talked to a couple of times on email, and then I was in New York and went to meet him. I remember just the whole way home thinking, I hope he's not in love with somebody. Who is this mystery man? Who is this Adam? Well, let me tell you. You would not believe your eyes, because it's none other than Adam Young, aka Owl City. There they are together. Compose yourself.
I think I'm genuinely in shock.
Is this bigger than Cory Monda?
Yeah. Oh my god.
As Taylor said, she met Adam in New York after exchanging some emails, and then she wrote a song about it. She even used the word wonderstruck, which is a word Adam had used when emailing her. I think he was like, "Oh, sorry, I was a little bit quiet last night. I was so wonderstruck meeting you." And then she had a perfume called Wonderstruck, and that came from him.
Oh my god, inspiration.
They didn't really have any contact after this meeting, and it was a while until Speak Now and Enchanted were released. When Adam heard Enchanted, he was enchanted. I've said that he goes full Lady Whistle down, and when I read this out, you'll see what I mean. This is called Dear Taylor, and he posted this
I think
online.
I vaguely remember the idea of what this was.
Mm-hmm.
Please carry on.
They say timing is everything, and that brings us to now. Today's Valentine's Day, and thus here is my reply. He posted a link to a song, which I'll play you a little bit of in a second.
Night, forcing laughter, faking smiles, same old tired, lonely place. Oh, Taylor, I was so enchanted to meet you It's sparkling, don't let it go. Struck!
Anyway,
Wonderstruck! Wait, he says he was so in love with her?
Yeah.
After
Taylor,
one...
I was so in love with you. I'd play it if this wasn't.
No, that's crazy.
Anyway, how did Taylor respond from this outpouring of love from Owl City? What did she say? How did she respond? Well, she didn't.
Yeah, I knew it!
Maybe he'd left it too late. Who knows? But that's where the story ends. That's it. That's Enchanted. Track 10, Better Than Revenge.
I love this one.
Better Than Revenge is basically Taylor Swift's misery business. It's about a girl who steals Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Or at least that's how Taylor sees it. That's how she saw it at the time. Not anymore either.
That's how Taylor sees it.
I loved that.
Thank you.
Direct quote from Tay. The song Better Than Revenge is about her girl who, a few years ago, stole my boyfriend. I think she probably thought I forgot about it, but I didn't. The man in question who was stolen away from Taylor is Joe Jonas. Here he is with a red scarf, which is very Jake Gyllenhaal coded of him. Maybe Taylor left this scarf at one of the other Jonas Brothers' houses, like a little calling card.
Connect 3, I love them.
The girl who Taylor says stole Joe away is Camilla Bell. Here she is with her stolen haul, Joe Jonas. And I would like to make a point that in this song, Taylor really threw Camilla to the dogs. Wasn't very fair. I mean, Taylor, I think, does regret it now. And Taylor's treatment of Camilla in Better Than Revenge really made me think of another famous Camilla. Couldn't help but see a parallel there. Both handed by the media. If they shot on anyone, they should have shot on the men in question more than the women. Anyways, moving on. The line towards the end of the song, which says, "Show me how much better you are," Gets you so much better is a direct reference to the Jonas Brothers' 2009 song Much Better. Now this song was a slap in the face to Taylor, honestly. Like, listen to this. Here's another YouTube link. Now I'm done with superstars. You don't believe it. Wait for it. Anywho, bad form, Joe Jonas.
I did not know any of this. Oh my god.
Now, looking back a few years later on Better Than Revenge, Taylor said, I was 18 when I wrote that. That's the age you are when you think someone can actually take... Hello? Your boyfriend? Is Joe Jonas in the room with us right now?
It's your boy.
Then you grow up and realize no one can take someone from you if they don't want to leave. Better Than Revenge gets a bad rap. What did I say?
Bad rap.
Taylor Swift does have a bar about a mattress that's been removed.
It's like a mattress protector.
But other
bed
than
wrap.
a bed wrap, mattress protect. Yeah, she gets a bad. The song gets a bad rap, is what I'm trying to say. And even though I do think it's a banger, I do have to agree there are some bad vibes in the song, and Camilla didn't deserve the hate. And understandably, Camilla wasn't happy about the song. She's made a few jabs about it in the years since. In 2015, when there was some Taylor-Nicki drama, I don't know if you remember it, I think Katy Perry tweeted, finding it ironic to parade the pit women against other women argument about as one unmeasurably capitalizes on the takedown of a woman. Quite an iconic tweet, quite famous. Camilla said, couldn't have said it better than revenge. And then when the Taylor and Kanye drama kicked off, I think it was, Camilla tweeted, no need for revenge, just sit back and wait. Those who hurt you will eventually screw up themselves, and if you're lucky, God will let you watch. In Better Than Revenge, Taylor says she always gets the last word, but I guess it's a nice irony that Camilla got the last word in this one. As much as I don't really like the pettiness here, it's like years later, Camilla was done dirty in the song, so...
She is bringing God into it, though.
Next up is Innocent. Innocent is a song about making mistakes, but it's okay because you're still an innocent. The hidden message says life is full of little interruptions, which is a little tongue-in-cheek because the song is actually about the most famous interruption of our age. When Kanye West rocked up on stage and ruined Taylor's acceptance speech for the You Belong With Me music video, you know what it is. It's infamous. On Innocent, Taylor says, it took a while to write that song. That was a huge, intense thing in my life that resonated for a long time. It was brought up to me in grocery stores and everywhere I went. And in a lot of times in my life when I don't know how I feel about something, I say nothing. And that's what I did until I could come to the conclusion that I came to in order to write Innocent. Even then, I didn't talk about it, and I still don't really. Taylor says Innocent took her 6 months to write, longer than her other tracks, which she said usually took about 30 minutes. She said that writing the song taught her a lot about being able to step back from a situation you don't know what to do with and put yourself in somebody else's shoes. She said that she knew people expected her to write a song, but she felt it was important to write a song to Kanye. Innocent's a real palette cleanser to come straight after Better Than Revenge, because in Better Than Revenge she's kind of being quite immature. She was young when she wrote it, but in Innocent she's on the other end of the spectrum. She's forgiving Kanye for the incident and saying everything's okay even though what he did was kind of pretty shit.
I wouldn't forgive him.
I wouldn't forgive him. Thanks for chiming in. Famously, Kanye interrupted her VMA speech, and what's nice about it is 1 year later at the next VMAs, Taylor returned to the stage to sing Innocent and wash Kanye of his sins, which is the only fair thing to do considering Kanye made that bitch famous. The least she could do. I'm joking, of course. That queen made herself famous. And even before the Kanye incident, she was doing world tours, so leave her alone. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Track 12, Haunted. Here she is on stage singing it. She used to get out a huge bell on stage and ring it, and it was pretty sick. And I don't know if it's still available when you're watching this, but currently you can buy a little bell necklace for Taylor Swift, Speak Now Taylor's version that she used to like have at the performance. Haunted is about feeling a relationship fading and not knowing what to do and being in denial about it because they've haunted you. The hidden message is still to this day. She said it's about the moment you realize the person you're in love with is drifting and fading fast and you don't know what to do, but in that period of time, in that phase of love where it's fading out, time moves so slowly. Everything hinges on what the last text message said and you're realizing that he's kind of falling out of love. That's a really heartbreaking and tragic thing to go through because the whole time you're trying to tell yourself it's not happening. I went through this and I ended up waking up in the middle of the night writing this song about it. Well, who is Haunted about? We don't really know. Some people say maybe John Mayer. Some people are on Team John. Some people are on Team Joe. And some people are on Team Edward. I mean, I don't think she wrote it about Edward Cullen, but I found a theory online where it's not really got much to it. And I don't think there's any proof. But some people, namely on Reddit, speculated that Taylor wanted to write a Twilight song and wrote Haunted, which would explain the sort of vibe of it. It's very like orchestral and describes a very life or death relationship. Like Edward and Bella's very dramatic, very you are everything I need and I will die without you, new moon. I'll sit on my chair and I'll look out of the window for months on end. Anyway, that's Haunted. We don't know much about that one.
Do you think, if it was about Edward Cullen, do you think it was like a little bit of revenge on Taylor Lautner?
Time for a little revenge on Taylor Lautner?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So it's like, you know what? I'm not going to write about you old wolf. I'm going to write it about the vampire.
And then Olivia Rodrigo wrote Vampire.
She did.
And just the whole story is weird. There's a theory that Olivia Rodrigo wrote Vampire about Taylor Swift.
Oh.
But that's a separate video. Track 13, Unlucky for Some But Not Taylor, as we know, is Last Kiss. It's about being in disbelief that a relationship is over and feeling sadness that it's gone. And the hidden message, which we will get onto, is forever and always. She says, the song Last Kiss is sort of like a letter to somebody. You say all of these desperate, hopeless feelings that you have after a breakup. Going through a breakup, you feel all of these different things. You feel anger and confusion and frustration, and then there's absolute sadness. The sadness of losing this person, losing all the memories and the hopes you had for the future. There are times when you have this moment of truth where you just admit to yourself that you miss all these things. When I was in one of those moments, I wrote this song. And Last Kiss... it's about Joe Jonas again. Now, the hidden message Forever and Always directly references the song Forever and Always from Fearless, which she wrote about Joe Jonas. Last Kiss is also about Joe, but while Forever and Always shows Taylor feeling hurt and confused after things ended, in Last Kiss she's just sad. Also worth noting, and this is a fun little fact, the song Last Kiss has a 27-second intro, which directly references the 27-second long phone call she had with Joe Jonas where he broke up with her.
That is savage.
She also sings about that July 9th, which is a reference to July 9th, 2008, when she went to Dallas, Texas to visit Joe and went to see the Jonas Brothers perform. And finally, we have Long Live. Long Live is a song written for Taylor's band and her fans and everyone who's helped her to get where she is. The hidden message is for you, and it's a very wholesome one to end on. On Long Live, she says, the song is about my band and my producer and all the people who have helped us build this brick by brick. The fans, the people who I feel that we are in this together. The song talks about the triumphant moments that we've had in the last 2 years. We've had times where we just jump up and down and dance like we don't care how we're dancing and just scream at the top of our lungs, how is this happening? And I feel very lucky to even have had one of those moments. Nonetheless, all the ones that I got to have. Long Live is about how I feel reflecting on it. This song for me is like looking at a photo album of all the award shows and all the stadium shows and all the hands in the air in the crowd. It's sort of the first love song that I've written to my team. There she is with her gang. Long Live. It's often considered sort of a sequel to a song Change, which was on the Fearless album. Change is also about overcoming obstacles and winning, but written at a earlier point in her career. In Change, she sings about these walls that they put up to hold us back will fall down. And in Long Live, she sings about the walls we crashed through, which is a nice callback and showing just how far they've come. Taylor also in Long Live sings about fighting dragons, which I like to think of as another slight against Bob Lefsett's my biggest enemy and villain in the in this PowerPoint. And he is a dragon. He's old and scaly and he sits on a horde of misogyny.
So true.
And this is what I think of every time I listen to Long Live. When I was 12 and 13, I used to listen to the song and I used to look at fan art of the Hunger Games books because I just thought, wow, this song is just so Hunger Games. I was a Tumblr girly through and through. And the song is just Katniss and Peter and I loved it. And I just used to inject that into my veins and then go and read Catching Fire again.
What a drug.
Anyway, that is the presentation. That is Speak Now. I hope you enjoyed. I will now be taking any questions from the audience.
So,
Yeah.
first of all, I love your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got a lot of insight from this.
Thank you. And by the way, you can follow my threads.
I would love to.
To just keep up to date with everything that I'm doing. Just follow my threads.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yes, carry on.
So, let's talk about Corey in the house.
It's a party every week, baby.
Exactly. That was a shock.